In the last part, we saw that Chu Xiao rented a small house to stay in the countryside. At her new home, 7 or 8 days passed in a flash. As Xiangyang city welcomed the new year, decorations were placed everywhere. The festive mood in the city was joyous. The landlord opposite, seeing that she lived alone, invited her over repeatedly to spend the new year. However, she rejected the landlord's gestures. Another few days had passed. As the annual lantern festival neared, a bout of snow fell at dawn. However, before the snowflakes touched the ground, they had melted. The remnants of the snow accumulated on the tree branches. Into the distance, the snowy white mountains were visible. Streams flowed at its fill. The city was covered in sycamores, giving up a spectacular sight. The landlord was a Kabi lady in her 30s. She looked friendly and had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Her husband was a teacher in a private school within the city. Their household was considered well off. The girl seemed to like Chu Xiao a lot. As she passed by her door, she would often gaze into her house. Her brother, seeing her curiosity, supported her on his shoulders and allowed her to sneak a peek inside her house. In the evening, Chu Xiao went out herself as she did not want another invitation from the landlady. The sky had not darkened, the light markets had not opened either, but the streets were bursting with life. There were crowds everywhere. Roadside stalls were set up in neat rows along the main street. Merchants selling various commodities like wine, food, and cosmetics littered the streets. Chu Xiao, finding the atmosphere overly crowded, avoided this street. Due to the festive occasion, the women of the well-off household, who did not usually leave their houses, wandered out into the streets. There were sedans and horse carriages everywhere as they passed by Chu Xiao. Sounds of laughter drifted out from the carriages occasionally as they blended together with the warm winds. It was a peaceful and harmonious sight. As compared to the people who are dressed flamboyantly, Chu Xiao was dressed in relatively plain clothes. However, as they belonged to the imperial palace of Liang, it appeared more majestic and exquisite as compared to the normal plain civilian clothes. The cloth was pale pinkish grey in color. The dress was pale blue and white in color. Magnolia flowers were embroidered on the side of the dress, looking like freshly bloomed lotus flower from afar. Coupled with her gentle and calm demeanor, she attracted countless starers from scholars and noble young masters as she walked along the long street alone. Some of them tried to approach her to strike up a conversation, but were rendered speechless as they got closer to her. They felt that her calmness was unlike an ordinary lady She gave off an aura that looked like she was ignoring them. As they hesitated, she had already wandered away. As night fell, the full moon rose up into the sky. The stars were far and few. As the moonlight shone onto her shoulder, this was not her first visit to Xiangyang city. 3 years ago, when she led her troops out of Zhenghuang city, she bumped into Princess Chunar and her brother, who were in trouble. After she escorted them back home, Princess Chunar sent troops after her. As she escaped from there, she set foot in this city. Time had passed by in a flash. No one had heard from Prince Sangar all these years. The influential and powerful prince back then had probably been ousted from the political scene of the Wei Empire. Due to his disability. As for Princess Chunar, she had seemingly vanished into the thin air. No one knew of her whereabouts. Thinking all of this, the corner of Chu Xiao's mouth rose. The smile was even so slight, disappearing even before it reached the sides of her face. It was like a layer of thin fog which had been disappeared by the cold winds. Perhaps Xiao Che was right. In this world, the overly intelligent would never be happy. A large patch of light lit up in the distance. They were multicolored and appeared majestic. The sounds of fireworks echoed out, along with the laughter of the children and the shouters of the vendors advertising their products. They drifted with the wind across the lake and to her ear. To her, it seemed like a bright fire had been lit up but did not give off any warmth. The sounds seemed to be originating from another world. It had been a long time since she had celebrated the Lantern Festival. She looked up, seemingly being transported back in the time to that day. There was a little red pony and a rat wearing a white robe holding a white rabbit lantern. As the child followed the young man, he turned back and gave off a cold look. She had always thought that that look emphasized cruelty and that he looked down on the life forms below him with disdain. Presently, as she reminisced about the past, she was seemingly able to see the bottom of his eyes clearly. If they had not navigated through the lights that day, if the fireworks from the children had not startled her horse, caused her to sprint out of the city, spending the night together with Yanshon, would things have planned out in different way? Perhaps not. Perhaps things would have still remained the same. The shores that were to be raised would still have been raised. The words of betray would still have been uttered. Everything would have been pre-planned according to the heavens. No one would have been able to break out of the wheel of fate. However, at the very last, if not for that separation, she would not be imagining that he was alive presently, as she associated her memories of past Lantern Festival with him. Don't forget to like the videos, to know the further story. There are many more in the upcoming part. Thank you.